Last round of the day, Brian Jones and Liam Rosen here with Sky Magazine. We've got a mixed quarterfinal dragon thrust out of Minneapolis, Minnesota, USA, Cambridge out of the United Kingdom.
It's going to be a great one. Cambridge coming into this game, they're going to utilize some fast disc movement to get this game off to a good start. Dragon thrust making it to the finals of the USA Ultimate Series.
Dragon thrust, reigning champions from last year, beating Polar Bears in that final. Cambridge, a bit of an upset. They took down regional UK rivals Bear Cavalry in a tight game on Universe Point. Many expected Bear Cavalry to be the one to advance to the quarterfinals, but Cambridge takes it instead. And Cambridge, a very traditional, very classic mixed team. Traditionally very powerful in the UK scene.
They have some outstanding women. We expect them to be very well balanced as they go through this game.
So pole comes up for Cambridge.
Dragon thrust comes out in a bit of a side stack.
Dragon into the center. This is a team of couples. Chemistry is what Dragon Thrust is all about, as there are 7 couples that are currently either dating each other or married to each other on this team.
Chemistry is bound to pay dividends during this game.
Austin Lean checks the disc back in. He'll be one of Dragon's main handlers throughout the game.
Austin Lean out of Illinois several years ago was the main reason Illinois actually made it to quarters back in 2008.
Dragon flips it up into the end zone. Austin Lean towing the line. Hops, jumps, and skips in to get Dragon Thrust on the board 1-0.
Pretty easy, consistent movement. You're able to work it up the field, no problem, and get it into the end zone. Should be an easy game if Dragon Thrust can continue that type of offense.
Put Matt Hims in. If only we could. What? If only we could. Go on, D. Go, Rich. Let's go, Jesus! Cambridge.
So Dragon Thrust with the first point up 1-0 on Cambridge. Dragon Thrust now puts on their defensive line.
It's not very windy. It's been a calm, nice day. Sun beating down. These fields are in almost better shape than what I've seen across the rest of the pitches.
They've done a good job of rolling these fields out between points as the pole comes down for Dragon Thrust and just lands out of bounds.
Side stack for Cambridge. They're going to try to isolate one of their players, but now after the pole goes out of bounds, they'll shift into a vertical stack.
Cambridge generally trains weekly as a men's and women's squad, so all these players very acquainted with each other. They do train monthly as a mixed squad. In the UK, the mixed seasons are actually held from different months from the open and women's season, so giving players that normally play open or women's a chance to compete together as a mixed team. So a call downfield, disc check back in for Cambridge. Contact on the D, Cambridge still holds it. Up line to Dathan, Dathan flips it in, easy forehand for the score. Cambridge equalizes 1-1. Cambridge versus Dragon Thrust.
It's good to see both teams come out and run their offense, hit the unders right away. There's been no deep shots, no risk-taking. The offenses are being conservative. We'll see how that plays out as both teams will have the opportunity to switch things up. A little bit of breeze in the afternoon, maybe some clouds rolling in, potential thunderstorms in the area may influence this game or push it to zone.
Dragon Thrust's road to the quarterfinals. They were able to beat the Heidi's mixed team in a very decisive game, 17-6. They told us they haven't really had that many close games yet at Worlds, and when they have had close games, it's been their fault. They started a couple of games down 0-3, but then recovered to win. They started out 0-3 against Stash from Canada, which is a team made up of mainly ex-Furious George players with a couple of other strong Canadian players. They did finally end up beating Stash 15-12 as the pull comes up. Dragon Thrust centers to lean.
And more side stack. A little bit of a poachy defense here, trying to go with a 3-3-1, one player deep. And now you see the quick transition. Not many throws. And they immediately try tie in. Are still poaching. Figure it out.
Lean with the blade to Hran. Many of the men from Dragon Thrust played together on the AUDL team, the Minnesota Wind Chill. They were able to develop a lot of chemistry together early season.
Able to slice and dice through the poaches.
Hran controls again, far sideline. Hran. Carr to Martha Harris. Martha Harris swings back to Lean. Lean into the end zone, towing the line, Dragon Thrust.
Austin Lean is such a potent thrower. Great inside break and awareness. The inside breaks, they need to be thrown early in the cut. Lean does that, leaves enough space. Too many times you see, instead of throwing the inside break pretty much straight ahead like Lean does, a lot of players try to angle themselves over and throw that late into the cut, and they end up throwing it right to the defender. Great job by Lean throwing space.
Oh, it's not even purple.
No, I was just going here and doing it.
Yeah, I was going like,
Then they told me to
yeah, that was my fault. Come back and sit down and wait.
So it's like I brought it together. And above the fact that it's really hot.
You know, you were one of the first people I ever saw play with.
Oh, fucking dang. Revolver Clapham.
So far, both offenses doing well. No breaks yet in the game.
Cambridge showed a poachy look last time, and Dragon Thrust still sticking with man-to-man defense.
Cambridge working it up around midfield. Dathan.
I like what I'm seeing out of Cambridge in their offense because they're taking the dump swing and what's available to them and reversing field, taking their opportunities. It's very patient, very important as we see a pick on the field to be able to do that at the highest levels.
Just checked back into play to Dathan. Dathan over the top. Dragon Thrust receivers in the backfield near the end zone colliding with each other. Maybe an injury call.
So we look for Kara and Tank, or should we just go?
David Shirley having a bit of a tough time. Going to have to be helped up. It doesn't look too serious. Shirley's going to come off the field. Shirley's going to be replaced by Drescher.
Yeah, we could. Yeah.
Okay, Okay, we can do that.
So all players will resume their positions after the call, and disc will be checked back in.
Can come back in 7.
Cambridge with it again. Wong. Pick call again in the stack.
Dragons are starting to get used to the handler motion that Cambridge is trying to run. Instead of clearing out and making way for another handler, they stick with it.
A foul call in the stack now. Robin Wiseman will use the opportunity to... Actually, her foot slipped out of her cleat. Robin Wiseman, very familiar to us here at Skide Magazine, has been a consistent Skide coverage manager and contributor throughout the years. Dathan, far sideline. Playing through the contact is Cambridge. Dathan again, into space. Cambridge, break through the middle. And Cambridge offense holds, so a perfect game so far. No turns. Both teams tied up at 2.
See if Dathan could continue to be that rock that he's been so far for this Cambridge offense. In that handler position, he's getting almost every other throw. And if Dragon Thrust can lock down, they can create some turnovers on that. It's a question of, do they have a good enough defender? And likely with them being the champions of the U.S. division, it's going to be the case. It's a matter of searching for it and finding the tendencies. Dathan could do a better job at times of knowing when to clear out when he's been bested. Sometimes defender just has your number, need to clear out and create space for others.
I talked to Captain Rich Hims of Cambridge before the game. I said, who's been playing particularly well to you? He highlighted Dathan, saying, we don't want Dom to get any more MVP awards because, quite frankly, it's just getting boring. Many teams will give out MVPs in the Spirit Circle, and Dathan has won most, if not all of them.
When you touch every other throw, it's hard to pick anybody else in those Spirit Circles.
So pull going up from Cambridge. Again, just sails out of bounds. Dragon Thrust, the team from Minneapolis, Minnesota, walks it up to the brick line. Historic mixed team in Minneapolis. Has been around for 6 years. Working it up the field. Hupp. Up line. Bacon. Back to Hupp. Far side to Boyd. Lean again.
Lean has been opposite of Dathan of Cambridge.
Both players as well, I think, Brian, with very similar stature. Raucous throw into the end zone. Austin Lean keeps Dragon Thrust perfect. No turnovers yet in this game. 3-2.
It's a question of who's going to make the adjustment. We haven't seen any zone defense yet. And while I don't think that zone is a great idea in this one, it's a better idea because your defense is doing absolutely nothing at this point in time. Make the game different. It's a slow, comfortable pace. Force them to make some throws and rush a little bit on their decisions.
Let's go, Cole! Go, Cambridge! Go, Cambridge! Go, Sunbow! Mike! Big on D, baby! Let's go, Red!
It looks like an offsides is going to be called. So it's going to be a re-pull.
Utilizing the game advisors. They can call offsides, but it is up to the other team to choose that. I don't think I've seen many possessions where there hasn't been that offside signal.
It's good that Cambridge knows the rules and is taking that into account. They're forcing Dragon to play honest. And in a game so far with no turnovers, mental game can play a huge advantage. These are two very strong, traditional mixed teams.
The problem with this for the offense is that when you're the offense initiating the possession, you don't want to be thinking. And you've just given yourself more time to relax, maybe think about what happened, think about what you're going to do. You showed your hand with a split stack and a single isolation. Defense has more time to plan it. And you get the same exact pull that you would have seen before.
Cambridge works it back up the field. Sam Turner. Pick called in the stack. Stall coming in at 4. Magali centers. It's another call before that throw. Magali into the center. To Barnes. Barnes finding Turner. This is a different offensive line from Cambridge. Wong. Back to Durst. Nice catch through pressure from Cambridge. Now in the far end zone, Barnes just jams it up that far corner. Cambridge looking to switch the field. They do so, getting it to Wong. Wong fakes the hammer. 5 meters out, there's a pick call in the stack.
Game has slowed down a lot, and both teams seem comfortable with that pace. There's no problem with them. They establish this pacing of look, survey the field for a couple of seconds, make the throw. Survey the field, you get the idea. And if they can continue to do that and you don't make pressure on them to either go higher in the stall count or to make give-and-go passes, I think there's a chance, an opportunity for these teams to over-pursue a little bit more on defense and just make them do something different. We haven't seen that adjustment yet.
Neve Delaney with the disc for Cambridge. Delaney back to Wong. To Barnes. Wong again, real close to the end zone. Puts in a bullet backhand, and Cambridge equalizes 3-3. If you're a fan of Efficient Ultimate, you've got to be a fan of this game, as 0 turnovers so far in the game.
Both teams utilizing their offensive structure well. And that's what happens when you see the athletes loaded onto the offensive side. We haven't seen any pressure. There hasn't required a huck. There has been no hairy situations for either offense. It means that if I'm Dragon Thrust, I can come out here, score. We have 2 timeouts a half. If I score here, make it 4-3, I'm calling a timeout because we need to ratchet up on defense and change the way this game is being played.
Lecco še ti bi mogel biti znak zraven. Kaj je?
Pull coming in for Dragon. Tallis Boyd looking for the undercut from Ron.
Dragon utilizes a normal hoe stack, but they compress part of it.
Deep shot from Dragon. Very nice shot from Austin Lean, and you can tell why he's one of the center handlers of this team. Dragon thrust 4-3 over Cambridge.
First time we've seen a huck, which means Cambridge has started to hunker down on those in cuts and not like the fact that they were having a slow situation up the field and making Dragon thrust comfortable. You may not get the block at this point in time. There's a famous quote from New York, and they said when they came down, if they score by doing their weakness, you make them do it again because it's their weakness. It sounds obvious. If you're not getting the job done and giving them the unders all day and they're not making mistakes, you have to force them into riskier situations, even though Lean, as we see here, delivers a beautiful flick out to space.
Cambridge was not considered a powerhouse on the UK scene until last year. They did regularly make the quarterfinals, but they were never a team that was feared. But it was their mixed season last year when they got second and third place at UK Tour that they went into nationals with a new sort of confidence. Since then, this is a team on the rise, taking down their rivals Bear Cavalry as they send it deep. So Cambridge just outside the end zone. Dathan. Only 2 Cambridge players in the zone now. Back to Durst. There's a foul. Lots of picks and contact in the end zone stack so far on these points. Durst, high release over the top to Dathan. Dathan flips it in. Easy score for Cambridge. Cambridge equalizing and going the other way.
At 4-4, there's no signs of these offenses faltering. It is calm. There's no wind on the fields. It's a great day for effective ultimate.
Cambridge went to a couple preparation tournaments this season. They went to the G-Spot tournament in Ghent, Belgium, finishing in second place, and they went to a brand new tournament, one that we've been following with interest, the Golden Keg tournament in Dublin, organized by friend of Skyd Magazine and fellow commentator Mark Early. They won that tournament, taking down a largely American team from Seattle, the Ghetto Birds, in the process. And they're really here to play against great competition. They go to mixed tour in the UK and with their new roster are often dominating teams with no team able to record double digits on them as we see an absolutely fantastic pull from Captain Hims. And Dragon working it upfield. Poach D from Cambridge. Cambridge with the chance for the first break of the game. Hims just needs to stick it in the end zone. Stall count getting high, puts the blade up to the back corner, and Cambridge with the first break of the game.
Poach D was a great vision. Stuck right in the lane, really a poor decision by Dragon Thrust to give it away. When you give such a short field up like that, unfortunately for Dragon Thrust, they give that first break, and maybe this will wake them up because, frankly, we've expected a little bit better defense out of them coming into this one.
This is something that they've been used to. They started out 2 games so far in this tournament down 0-3, and they've come back to win it. So they're used to the comeback. Let's hope they can pull it off here facing a more seasoned team. Cole coming back in for Dragon Thrust. Lean with Boyd. Boyd, a foul going to be called.
Simple hack in the mark, and something we've seen is a lot more bumping from the international teams. I think from the American teams, but the American teams contrast that with more physicality downfield. Two different styles of play.
King dumps off back to Lean. Lean's going to put the forehand huck deep to Hupp right into space, and Austin Lean has been perfect so far for Minneapolis Dragon Thrust.
What confidence he must give his squad with the disc in his hands. He hasn't made a mistake yet. It's been just him feeling the groove. And some players just get into that motion where they're not thinking. They're in a great place. They have great vision. Austin Lean putting on a clinic.
Lean, as you mentioned before, with high school experience, played YCC in Minnesota. 4 years at Illinois. As you mentioned, Brian, he was one of the players that led Illinois to 4 consecutive appearances at college nationals. Started with Dragon in 2009. Many of these Dragon Thrust players have been playing with the team for a long time. And this is an absolute program. They've had up to 100 players coming to their open tryouts. One of the more popular teams in Minneapolis.
It's just there for the U.S. Open. A great city, great location. It's nice and cool. Got to sleep on a porch during the U.S. Open. Sit back and watch some amazing Ultimate. Don't worry, it was screened in. I was fine.
Just imagining Brian Jones sleeping on a porch.
It's like camping, but without all the bad stuff.
It sounds great. So Wong bringing the pull up for Cambridge. Cambridge has been stereotyped in the UK Ultimate scene for being a very brainy team. Cambridge, obviously, one of the stronger universities in the UK, up there with Imperial College London and Oxford.
They can all memorize up to at least 15 digits of pi. It's a requirement to be on the team.
They've even said that some of their practices delve into long discussions about the minutiae of strategy. They said sometimes high ultimate IQs don't always translate into high normal IQs don't always translate into high ultimate IQs.
Also the case sometimes of too many cooks in the kitchen. A lot of people can think about it one way or the other.
That's a problem that a lot of teams struggle with as we talk about leadership. And a style that I personally like to play under is just one strong team leader. Someone needs to have the gravitas, whether that be a coach or a captain, that everyone looks to make decisions and have the final word.
Gets to restart with play as everybody gets into position.
Barnes looking for the dump. Back to Dathan.
Dathan trying to match Lean with throw for throw.
Ganesh to Delaney. Delaney, high release backhand to Wong. Wong thinks about the forehand. He now pumps it up into the middle. Not in, though. So Cambridge will have to do it again. Delaney, high released, lefty into Michaeli Ganesh for Cambridge.
No adjustments by Dragon Thrust. They're down one break. The defense has not produced a turnover. The wind is picking up. We can see in the flags in the background. Now blowing from right to left on your main camera, going towards where the Cambridge team will be pulling from. It's a great time to showcase some zone or showcase a different defense. It's just, right now, it just feels like both teams are content to go through the first half of this game with at least close and tied at ones. Not tied at ones, within one of each other.
Cambridge has been accused of being a flat squad in their preview on the show game. They were accused by a fellow Bear Cavalry player who described described Cambridge as a flat squad without any standout players, but plenty of depth. Here, though, it's Dragon Thrust that looks flat, referring to their energy level. So they'll come out in a side stack, isolating two of their women. Lean swings it to Boyd.
Still in that side stack formation, keeping the isolation pretty clear. And Lean at the helm as the commander to making those decisions downfield.
Another miscommunication by Dragon Thrust and a chance for Cambridge to go up 2 breaks.
And Haran just didn't seem to make a play at that.
He doinked it with one hand. He was going for the easy catch. Dragon really needs to up the intensity. Hims. But a drop disc from Cambridge.
So
we'll let Dragon Thrust back into it with a chance to tie. Austin Lean is going to send it deep, getting the backhand all the way to the far side for Dragon, and that's something that should motivate them as Sarah Mextroth into the end zone, but there's going to be a call.
There was some discussion. I'm not sure what Byron Hicks was ruling on.
There, some miscommunication possibly between the game advisors, but that will end up being a goal. So Dragon Thrust equals up 6-6 after a mistake, a drop by Hron. Tied up at 6s here in Lecco.
You guys seen Devka? They'll this way? They're coming back.
So we see the replay, the Mextroth layout. Just an update from the women's division. It's going to be an all-American division, as it's going to be Fury from San Francisco versus Showdown from Texas. On the other side, Seattle Riot versus DC Scandal.
In the men's division, Revolver versus Johnny Bravo and Sockeye versus Colony. Just lost a bet as a result of the Australian team making the semis.
Not only one bet, Brian, you lost 2 bets. It's Fat Chili, the Masters team, also makes it to semis in the Masters division.
Yeah, that doesn't. We weren't talking about Masters. We were just doing our pools for women, mixed, and men.
Cambridge sends it deep. This one's gonna float. Receiver though with body position, so Cambridge with another point on the board, 7-6.
Seeding was interesting going into the men's tournament, and even here as they're taking the seeding off of Prague, where they actually, so all the finishers came in, and we didn't take a look at that actually when picking our brackets and pools. Not sure where I stand otherwise. I have Dragon Thrust in the mixed division making it on, so if Cambridge decides to come back and ruin some dreams, right now up 7-6. Just waiting for a sign of life from Dragon Thrust on the defensive side. Austin Lean is cruising.
Just a tweet here from Cambridge Strange Blue. They say Cambridge is not just smart. The university squad, which includes standout player Dom Dathan, are current University Open Indoors and Open Outdoor Championships. So this is a strong university program, which translates to a strong mixed squad. Shout outs to all of those that are listening in from the United Kingdom or from Minnesota. Dragon thrust into Hupp. Hupp finding Boyd in the center of the screen. Dragon thrust still working it up, sends it deep with the blade. They're going to look for Mexstroth again, who gets up with a one-handed grab. So Sarah Mexstroth for 2 in a row to bring it to 7s for both teams.
Knowing your receiver, I thought for sure that blade was going to be another turnover for Dragon thrust, but no problem hitting Mexstroth. I wonder as we get close to half if Dragon thrust has any plans to try to extend or get back their break back and extend a lead into halftime, because just haven't seen any defensive wherewithal. They've been opening up lines and cruising through this first half.
Mexstroth again with the one-handed catch. Sarah Mexstroth, Sky Magazine readers know for being named to the Savage All-American Women's Team in 2013. That year, she also competed with the mixed under-23 United States team that won gold at under-23 World Championships in Toronto, and also won a club championship with Dragon thrust. So a very successful season last year for Sarah Mexstroth as she looks now for a world title. Dragon thrust, though, fighting with Cambridge early.
Relying on Dathan to get the job done along with Wong. Wong and Dathan have shown the combined firepower of just lean on the other side of the disc. Cambridge only with 1 turnover, and that's been on the defensive side after getting the disc back.
Sending it deep. Cambridge is wide open, not able to jump in the end zone this time. Matsumiya finding Fran Dathan. That last name sounds familiar. It's because it is. She's the sister of Dom Dathan.
Nice huck to set up the easy end zone possession. Goes catching the disc on the far open sideline and then putting up a break side huck. Very difficult to defend as a mark. They're coming in very fast, trying to get on there as soon as possible. You have to understand what type of play they're looking for and be able to predict that. Take a look here on the sideline, and a nice pivot around to the backhand. Easy shot leaves it open.
The Dathans, a strong Ultimate family, have a brother as well, Cy Dathan, who plays with Chevron, was on the Great Britain national team that took home the silver medal at the World Championships in 2012 in Japan.
A lot of those players just played against Revolver and under Clapham and nearly took them down 17-16, a great game.
Brian, we were rushing over here after that game as I said, no way am I going to miss this. I sprinted the entire length of the field complex.
Why run when you can walk? I took my time.
I did come down here with enough time to talk to both of these teams earlier about their expectations for this game. I asked Dragon thrust what they expected to see from Cambridge. They said they did not know this team at all. Hadn't scouted them, knew that they had won against Bear Cavalry on Universe Point, but are coming into this game blind. And now down 1, I think they may be wishing they had done a bit more research on the team. Although nothing here that complicated from Cambridge, just perfect, efficient ultimate. Fran with the disc.
A lot of flat marks. They want to prevent Dragon thrust from throwing it deep.
An overthrow from Dragon. Foul called.
Defender saying that the disc was too high. Make a play on it, but it's either going to be contested or uncontested.
I think she had a point. It did seem tough that Hetler would have a chance to go up and get that disc.
It's always difficult because the timing of the push matters so much in that ability to make the play.
It's going to be an uncontested foul. Anna Hetler. Back to Lean. Lean, upline pass to Harris. Back to Lean.
Pick call in the stack. A little bit of discombobulation.
That's a honey pass, in fact. Austin Lean and Martha Harris got engaged the week before this tournament in Venice. Very romantic on the bridge. So this team, a team of couples and relationships, as we see a poach D from Cambridge.
This could be for half. Great opportunity.
Colt Hammer sends it deep. That's a low throw. It's going to be a layout catch for Cambridge.
Time for Dragon Thrust to wake up. They just let Cambridge take half with 2 breaks. They didn't do any scouting beforehand. They're going to make some adjustments here at halftime out of necessity at this point. Cambridge playing a great style. Offense has been perfect. Defense has gotten 2 breaks. Dathan, Wong, a couple of other big plays.
Make no mistake, Brian, this team means business. Cambridge Ultimate came in to the preparation tournament, the Golden Keg. They took down Ghetto Birds, who were a strong mixed team with some very talented players from Seattle, and they are rolling with some efficient offense. That huck from Steve Colthammer. And the grab on the other end. Cambridge up by 2. See it again here on the replay.
Dragon Thrust has to do something coming into the second half. It's got to be the zone. It's got to be a ratchet up of intensity. Are they just happy to be here? And they made the quarters. They've been a good team. They've been relatively unchallenged, I think, coming into this quarterfinal. Cambridge has survived the Universe Point win, which usually means that emotional roller coaster that you're going to go ahead and maybe have a letdown, but they've been playing great.
We're going to go now to a halftime interview with correspondent David Price.
Thank you, Liam. I'm here with Jake, the Dragon Thrust coach. Are you having a bit of a tough game here against Cambridge?
Yeah.
How has it gone for the first half from your perspective?
We're playing tough D. They're playing really great possession O. So we're going to look to disrupt that a little bit in the second half. I got no issues. I think they're playing great. We're playing tough. We're playing really great offense as well. It's going to be a battle.
And so far in this tournament, you guys have been undefeated. What do you think the biggest challenge is going to be going on forward? And if you can get this game back, I mean, you're going to be fighting for semis and finals. So what's the sort of plans for those games that are coming up?
Not to mess up your question, but I'm not thinking about those games at all.
That's fair enough.
We're focused completely on this game.
So the previous games have been, have you been pushed at all, do you feel?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's been a great time getting to play against different teams from different countries, some of which we've played for and some of which we've never played. So yeah, we've definitely been pushed and challenged in different ways that with different ultimate schemes or zones or different ideas. So it's been fun.
And you're enjoying the tournament in general here in Italy?
Oh yeah, it's been a great time.
Cool. Thanks very much, Matt.
All right, thank you.
And we'll be back with the second half in a few moments. Just wait there.
Skyd Magazine がお送りしました。
Skyd Magazine.
Skyd Magazine!
Skyd Magazine!
Skydy!
Meine Aufgabe ist dastehen und gut aussehen.
Es gibt Magazin! Guatemaltas!
Skyd Magazine.
Elliot and I coming down here had sort of developed a plan, and we want Milwaukee to win nationals.
It was great.
Yeah, did you do
I did. Moon Temple with the whole family. Yeah, it was great. Kids love that Chinese food. Come on, Ben. Casual Friday.
Rookie.
Ja, nek, vedno imaš enega takega, v vsakem razredu osnovne šole, Cambridge, ja. Ja, sam... Martin je vse zabaven, ne? Tako ne jemlješ resno. Cambridge pa tako i resno pove, da... Joj, tako naporan je včasih.
Skepri, če podajo tepi, se red dajo nekaj, da bi recimo laufo 2 metra stavili, dobro je mesec 2 metra.
Cambridge je meni
Čarno, da je 2 metra in se nekaj metra.
Before
I say 5 minutes, they walk on even farther away. Relax.
Ne, Cambridge, ja, če se ni vrhu, skoro.
Ni rabo vrh, vsakič je bil sam, ne? Je bil prvi pit sam.
Dvakrat je bil sam. Pa ko si ti šel, še ko si ti šel je imel eno.
Čisto.
You can have Static bring it to the barbecue.
What's barbecue?
We're having a barbecue.
Čevapčići?
Maybe.
Ej, rado vreš da piješ voda. I če pa je slični pijava da piješ
Nas tu pije vodo! Še en liter bo.
Daj se voda!
And Dragon Thrust. It's down 7 to Cambridge Ultimates 9 in the Battle of the Geeks. Dragon Thrust, talking to us before the game, they referred to themselves as a very geeky team. In fact, their name comes from the 4 forces that act on a object, a flying disc, for example, in flight: gravity, lift, drag, and thrust. Cambridge, on the other hand, a brainy team. Many of these players coming from the open squad that is indoor and outdoor national champions in the United Kingdom, including the man with the disc right there, Dom Dathan. Dathan gets it up. A strip is going to be called by Drescher. I'm not sure about that. Retracted call. Good spirit by Jay. Back to Dathan.
And the defensive intensity is already picked up for Dragon Thrust out of this half.
And a layout D from Robin Wiseman. You said it, Brian Jones. The defensive intensity from Wiseman. Wiseman, the lone pickup for Dragon Thrust this year. She captains the Madison women's team heist. As Dragon Thrust works the disc back into play. Finding Jamie Glader. Glader into Drescher. Over the top to Olsen. Bomberg. Back to Wiseman. Wiseman to Carr. Carr back to Wiseman. She just needs to put it right into Sarah Mextroth for the score. So Dragon Thrust gets the break.
It's about time. We've been waiting for it. We've been waiting for this defense to wake up, and there are 3 consecutive throws where the defense was just honing in on what Cambridge wanted to do. It's important for Cambridge to be able to respond at this point by playing their game and being patient throughout. You got here throughout the entire first half by playing patient ultimate. You may have to throw a couple of hucks, but wait for your opportunity to come.
One thing we've seeing the trend in this tournament. As we see the replay of the strip call from before, and then the layout D from Robin Wiseman. One thing we've seen throughout the tournament is the depth of the American rosters. Dragon Thrust has 27 players on their roster. They brought 28 to the tournament. Brian Strings Schoenrock can be seen on their sideline with a dislocated shoulder. Jeff Trosvig also rolled his ankle actually at Dragon Thrust tryouts. Broke part of his leg. They weren't sure how he would be. Has had limited playing time, has not played yet in this game. Pull coming up for Dragon Thrust as their sideline gets loud. Dom Dathan receives the pull. Dathan into Wong.
You can see Dragon Thrust already just really collapsing on those unders, pressuring as much as possible.
Barnes. And a run through D from Dragon. Dragon's off to the races. Robbins thinking about the deep shot. Holsters it. Wiseman back to Bacon. Into the end zone. Mexstroth trying to toe the line. She has been doing everything on the women's side for Dragon. Mexstroth pivots around, finds the forehand for the score. And just like that, Dragon Thrust rattles off a pair of breaks to tie the score at 9s.
The first one was a layout D by Wiseman, and this one was just a bad executed throw. Looking to the break side, just no problem, and it was behind the receiver, right to Dragon Thrust. At this point, if you're Cambridge, you're going to take a timeout, maybe just settle down. Here they just need to have the nerves. You're still in a great position. You're on serve. You're receiving at 9-9 against the team that won the American division. You're okay. You're doing well, and they need to know that and just be confident going into the rest of this game.
You want to stop the momentum for Dragon Thrust. Check out the pivot here from Mexstroth. Finding her receiver into the end zone. Little disc flip there for Dragon as they're tied up at 9s. Dragon Thrust sideline getting loud, finally with the momentum they need. We saw them quiet all game, Brian Jones.
It's like they woke up. They finally went into half and they say, hey, if we're losing, maybe we should try harder on defense. And the intensity's been there ever since. They still don't have the lead. Still a little bit ways to go. And Cambridge feeling silent. If this is the way they want to be and this is the way they want to act, that's fine. If they like to be more of an intense team, it's important for them to respond in that way. Dathan gets a disc in his hands. He's going to be all important.
Dathan's going to send it deep. Cambridge receiver is there, makes the grab. Steve Colthammer, the London-based player. He won MVP award at the Golden Keg Tournament for Cambridge.
Finds Dathan all the way down the field. And call on the play. Foul downfield.
Sam Vile with the disc for Cambridge. Vile gets it in to Hogan. Pick call. The Staxu disc will return. Vile self-check. Back to Hogan. And another pick call in the stack. And it's a throwaway, a careless turnover from Cambridge. Dragon Thrust with another chance for the break. Austin Lean with it. He's been solid for them all game, putting it out for Jay Drescher.
Really more than solid. Lean has just been incredible. Drescher, as getting the disc, he was part of that Minnesota Duluth team with the rainbow-colored jerseys that made college nationals a couple years ago. The Northern Lights coming out of a 5-bid region. Nobody expected them to be there.
Many players got their start playing for that Duluth squad, who now play for Dragon Thrust. Austin Lean with it again. Lean sends it deep. It's the forehand huck to Robin Wiseman. She's going to run it down. No problem for Wiseman. And what a pickup here for Dragon Thrust. Wiseman, as we mentioned before, plays for the Madison women's team. Heist was a standout player for Iowa Saucy Nancy, Wisconsin Eau Claire in her college days. A fierce player as a pickup for them. She has no set O or D assignments. She is a complete wild card, and they'll use her to generate both defense and offense, as seen there. Dragon Thrust takes a lead.
And this run has started with Wiseman with the layout D and has continued on with Wiseman. Lean, can't forget him. Great throw out the space once again. You could see it setting up Wiseman going along the sideline and then slowly curling back towards the middle of the field. Lean with all that space. They need to get a bigger mark on him, Cambridge, if they're going to do better. Really, it's about their offense at this point in time for them to respond.
See again the replay. Wiseman going deep. And what a pull from Dragon. It does eventually land just out of bounds. Cambridge will bring it up to the cone. Swung over to Wong. Wong sends it deep. That is a low throw, and it's going to be too far. Cambridge has not looked on top of their game coming out of halftime. This is two different halves. There's an injury, though, on the field for Dragon Thrust. Tom Bomberg. Maybe a hamstring issue. Walks off the field. He'll be replaced by Huron.
Huron comes on, and he just actually got all AUDL honors for the Midwest Division being announced today.
Many of these players play together on the Minnesota Wind Chill, the semi-professional franchise out of Minneapolis, St. Paul. Crossfield swing. Ron picks it up with one hand. Back to Hemish. And another injury for Dragon Thrust. Urheim's going to have to walk off the field. Lucas, apologize. So Lucas replaced by Patty King. Hemish to King again. Back to Hupp, no mark. Mike Peterson, he had that run through earlier with a key break opportunity for Dragon. Peterson sends it deep. Cambridge has position though. Ron, and that's going to be a tie.
Very hard in those situations to figure out who had the disc first. I thought the defender actually got up and got it. We'll have to see on the replay.
Fron did a very nice job of coming around from the back. He had position, and I think without a replay there, it's going to be impossible to know which player had stopped the disc first. I think sending it back is the fair option. So Mike Peterson is going to have to do it again for Dragon Thrust. Take another look at that replay in super slow motion. And that, Brian Jones, is a tie to me.
I actually think Haran got it, so I'm going to retract my statement. But it's going to go back regardless.
King. Inside break into the center. That disc is tipped. So Cambridge with a chance. Another near D opportunity, but Cambridge controls. Trying to slow it down now is Joe Durst. Into Neve Delaney. Cambridge needs to play at their pace. They can't let Dragon Thrust rush them into making mistakes. There's actually a call. Pick call.
When you get pressured on defense, it becomes, your first reaction is often, all right, I feel the pressure, somebody's open deep, I can hit this throw. You don't always have the right mentality to do that because it's not what your offense is used to doing. And it's a little bit closer, a little bit harder of a throw. You need to be able to go up and around the defense as much as possible in order to keep the disc alive and just settle down as an offense.
As we see a nice layout save from Neve Delaney. Up into the end zone. Delaney's going to have to go down for it again. Lays out, but not able to catch up, so Dragon Thrust will go the other way with a chance to extend their lead to 2.
For those watching the first half, think about the pace that Cambridge is playing at. 1, 2, 3, look. And there it was a lot of just one catch and transfer.
I'm very confused about Cambridge defense there. Mexstroth had 20 meters on her defender, just continued to go deep. And defender couldn't catch up. So legs playing a bit of a difference as Dragon Thrust goes up 2.
The pacing is killing Cambridge right now because instead of being able to sit there and assess the field and take the full stall count, we're seeing them go through and just 1, 2, 3, what it was in the first half, 1, 2, 3, throw. It becomes one throw, one throw, one throw. And it's turning into turnovers as a result of that. Instead of being patient and surveying the field, they're going too fast. Dragon Thrust on a 4-0 run at this point in time. They were down 9-7 going into half. And they have taken control. Cambridge yet to respond.
Let's take another look at the replay, the layout catch from Delaney. Fortunately, though, the disc after that floated too far and wasn't able to save it. Mexstroth, on the other hand, Delaney couldn't get back on defense. Mexstroth just had her beat with her legs. Dragon Thrust coach giving some instructions on the sideline. That's Jake Henderson. He's a former player on Dragon Thrust. Had to retire earlier than planned. He's had 4 torn ACLs, but he coached Dragon Thrust in their championship win last year. And now here at Worlds in 2014 as Cambridge goes deep. Robin Wiseman's going to try to make a play on it. Cambridge still with it, needs to get the dump off. Finally finds Hogan. Hogan into the end zone. Cambridge answers back with one of their own. So 11-10 Dragon Thrust, and Cambridge gets the first point on the board after half.
Cambridge, that type of attack is going to be unsustainable for Cambridge. It's not part of their game to consistently just throw up 50-50 shots. It's going to play in the Dragon Thrust's hands. It's not the patient offense we saw in the first half. It might give them some confidence going forward, and now they can go back on defense and potentially get back in this game. But if I'm Cambridge, I'm talking to my offensive line about how we need to settle down. We played an excellent game in the first half. We need to continue to do that and just work a little bit harder.
Take another look again at the goal for Cambridge. That'll give them some confidence back going into half. Brian, we watched an exciting quarterfinal game, Clapham from London versus Revolver. Just saw a tweet from Revolver's Martin Cochran, says, Clapham Ultimate gave Revolver one of our best games in years in quarters. Proud to share the field with you guys today. And that was an epic scene. The entire tournament, it seemed like, was surrounding a muddy field in the middle of nowhere here in Italy. Take away the stadiums, the cameras, the lights. That is what Ultimate's all about. 14 players on the field getting it done for their club and for their country.
And really, at the end of the day, it was one player who managed to get it done for his club, and that was Bo Kittredge. Kind of expect anything different scenario.
Coach Kittredge with the flick hook to Cassidy Rasmussen to end the game.
Well, before that, though, it was a poach D that Revolver was down, not on serve. Clapham was threatening, and Bo got it near the end zone. Revolver converted, took the lead. Good on Clapham Ultimate for responding. Justin Ford made an amazing catch.
So Dragon Thrust working it 3/4 of the way up the field. Very patient, dumping and swinging through the work of Austin Lean and handler Talus Boyd. Boyd into Huron. Huron, the high release flick into Pat Niles. And into the end zone for the score. That was too easy for Dragon.
No upline defense, no defender. Just patiently waiting. They're playing their game on offense. Cambridge was able to get some turnovers in the first half, but the Dragons Thrust D has been dominant.
So now it's Cambridge who has to go the other way. And they'll now need a break with their D-line. But with the steady handling of Talus Boyd and Austin Lean, it's not going to be easy.
Line wide open once again. So we take a look at that replay. Cambridge is in trouble, and the score wouldn't seem to indicate that, but Dragon Thrust has just come alive, and Cambridge needs something to spark their comeback. They haven't been able to play their game since Dragon Thrust put the additional pressure on.
So pull going up for Cambridge. And it's overthrown immediately. Field quieting as players waited for the call. There's not going to be one, though. That was just a simple overthrow and another mistake from Cambridge, who's looked shaken up with the increased intensity from Dragon since halftime. Carr back to Hemish. Hemish inside break to Wiseman. Wiseman flips to Mextroth. Peterson, Scuber to Wiseman. Wiseman dumps back to Carr. Patience from Dragon Thrusts. Jumping into the end zone, Peterson. Dragon Thrust gets it done again, 13-10.
6-1 run. If this stands, this looks like they're coming back on the field, as it was not in.
It did look to me like Mike Peterson was in. He's going to ask the game advisor to rule on that. So game advisor Greg Connolly, who had a perfect view of that play, regardless of what anyone else in the field may think, season's observer said it was not in. Let's look at the replay, Brian. Very tough to tell as his whole leg landed on the line. And Drescher over the top to Wiseman. Her second of the game, getting it done for Minnesota Dragon Thrust.
Have you ever seen a game this quickly turn around? It was like Dragon Thrust was asleep at the wheel coming into this one. Just cruising along, staying close. They got to halftime and they said they woke up to each other and said, you know, hey, we can win this game. 6-1 run ever since. Defensive pressure's been outstanding.
I don't know what was talked about in that halftime huddle for Dragon Thrust, but I would have liked to be there because it must have been some pretty inspirational words. As I said at the start of the game, this is a situation Dragon has been in before. They've gone down early in games and had to come back.
Big shout out to the official photographer of the World Ultimate Club Championships here in Lecco, Italy, Ultiphotos. Be sure to check out all the amazing photos on ultiphotos.com. Proud partnership here with Sky Magazine.
Another shout out to our official sponsor, 5 Ultimate, who's outfitted the Sky crew today with our trucker caps and Sky shirts. Keeps us all looking fly. Check them out, 5ultimate.com. So it'll be the captain, Rich Hims, who will bring the disc into play for Cambridge.
Side stack. 3 players on each side. And tying the shoe, getting ready. A lot of times split stack you see utilized with 3 and 2 on one side, and really they're compressing just a horizontal stack at this point. Start off with to allow one receiver to get isolated.
Cambridge back down the field. Coldhammer to Hims. Hims on the run. Crossfield Huck. All the way across. Hupp is there, but the catch is made. There's going to be a call, though. Disc will be coming back. Disc back in the hands of, actually before Hims's throw. So it's going to go back to Adrian Texa. Thrown away. Dragons' Austin Lean will pick up. Eric Olsen. High release break into the center. Erica Bakken now. Back to Olsen. Finding Hupp. Bacon. Forehand break. Dragon thrust all day, breaking the mark, putting it deep to Hupp. And it's going to be a battle of the verticals. Jordan Hupp climbing the ladder to bring it down for Dragon Thrust as they are rolling late in the game, 14-10.
They've gone on the big run, 7-1 at this point. Show no signs of stopping, in total control. Just a matter of whether they wanted to put forth the effort on defense. They have in the second half, and there's been no chance for Cambridge. We have more coverage coming up tomorrow. We'll be doing the Women's Masters game in the morning, as well as 2 semifinals in the Open and Women's Division.
We see again Jordan Hupp getting up. Hupp out of the University of Chicago. He's one of the 2 players that will not be playing for Dragon Thrust for the USA Ultimate Club Series. He's planning a move back to Chicago this fall. So this will be his swan song as he tries to win a gold medal with the team favorites.
Let's go, Ray!
Cambridge trapped in their own end zone after the fantastic pull from Dragon Thrust. Reception made into the center, and they get out of it. No pressure. Wong, one of the captains of this team, sending it deep. An adjustment needed from Dragon Thrust as they have numbers. Thrown out to space. Cambridge with a bit of momentum.
Good for Cambridge there. They're able to come out and get a great opportunity for a huck. A little bit of lax defense. After they survive the initial pressure, the onslaught, you feel so much pressure, and then sometimes just like a safety release valve. As soon as you get out of the end zone, the defense kind of relaxes because they were gunning for that Callahan, and now it's not possible. Deep shots available, out to space, no problem.
Cambridge still needs some breaks to get back in the game. They led early by 2. It was a tale of 2 halves, as after halftime, Dragon Thrust came out ripping and raring. As we see the deep shot to Pocklington.
Say we haven't seen in a while. The Dragon Thrust offensive line been efficient throughout the majority of this game. Gave up a couple poach Ds.
Pull off for Cambridge. Players finishing dinner now, settling to watch this mixed quarterfinals game. Austin Lean pivoting.
Lean has been perfect throughout this game.
Bit of confusion again. His play does not stop on a travel. Hupp. Clink. The triple cut from Austin Lean bamboozles his defender. Swung back to Harris. Harris trying to poke it through, finally gets it back to Niles. Nice marks from Cambridge, making it look tough. Dragon Thrust is going to have to keep dumping and swinging. Clink having a hard time getting the throw off, finally gets it upfield to Hupp. Glader back to Lean. Lean into space. Niles makes the catch. Harris, Glader, and what great patience from Dragon Thrust with the smothering defense from Cambridge. Inside out though, and the patience runs its course. Is Austin Lean saying, my bad, my bad. Seeing that he couldn't make a play, it looks like we're gonna see a timeout, as this would be a great break for Cambridge to get. Down 14-11, could bring it to within 2. On Sky Magazine's coverage of the 2014 World Ultimate Club Championships in Lecco, Italy, I'm Liam Rosen with Brian Jones.
sam se postarao, ne? Dominik. A ja, Dominik. Ja, pa odrasel, ne? O je, znači, taj isto. Dominik!
Cambridge with a chance to bring it to within 2 as they'll send it deep. Niles is there, the defender. Secures that D on the Blady deep shot from Cambridge.
Unintentional Niles rubbing the salt in the wound, hitting the D and turning around and running into to the receiver.
They'll shake hands though. Dave Klink will walk the disc back up. Cambridge defense on that last possession was smothering. Let's see if they can keep the intensity up. And it's the deep shot. She'll run it down though. Layden. King up line to Niles. Niles without a mark. Klink sends it into the end zone, back to Niles. So Pat Niles getting it done with the bookends for Minneapolis Dragon Thrust.
8-2 run, and it's showing no signs of stopping. Dragon Thrust in control with a 4-point lead. Cambridge had a great first half. Not enough to keep him with Dragon Thrust.
Dragon Thrust up on Cambridge despite the loss of 2 of their better players. Strings Schoenrock out with a dislocated shoulder. MVP of their championship game last year against Polar Bears, Jeff Trosvig, dislocated his ankle, broke part of his leg at tryouts. He is still questionable for play, is walking the field in cleats, but has not played a point yet. So Dragon Thrust still with more to go, as they're now up 4 on Cambridge in this game to 17. Pole just out of bounds.
Looks like the rounds are done for the day. Everybody's coming to get some dinner. Been here. It's been a long but exciting several weeks in Italy, Liam. Took a chance of the week off to go to Rome and then Greece. Came right back and back in action in the World Juniors, and now on here to the clubs. We're getting to the good stuff. The semifinals tomorrow, and then the finals.
Beautiful backhand inside break, put out to space, despite the near shoulder high layout by Jay Drescher. Drescher all smiles after that one, as it was the throwing prowess of Cambridge coming to light. They're still down 12-15 to Dragon Thrust.
Now we send it back to Austin Lean, who, by my measures, is still perfect. May have jigsed in the last one and a handler cut miscommunication, but no incompletions on his own merit at this point in time. Still 100% on the throws.
Austin Lean has been the most solid handler we've seen from any team in this tournament, besides maybe Andrew Brown from Furious George. Brown, a regional rival to Lean out of Madison.
When you take a look across divisions, you see those solid handlers, and I think you look at one, the master and commander, I call him Robbie Cahill, who's back in action for Revolver. The guy isn't the most flashy. He just has a very quick first step, and he makes the right decision almost 100% of the time. It's better that Ultimate has those players still, and we've seen some retire like Mark Sherwood. It's unfortunate to see that we don't have them anymore. This is a sport that has a short lifespan for a lot of people. They move on with their lives, have kids. It's just great to have them when we can.
And I think a lot of their players extending their playing years in the mixed division. Steve Colthammer, who you see as middle in this Dragon Thrust zone, is an example. He's actually an American. Started playing with the Claremont Raiders, played a year at graduate school at Harvard. He was actually supposed to retire in 2010, but is back here playing, using his height to be effective for Cambridge.
I like to switch to zone from Cambridge because you haven't done much stop Dragon Thrust of late. And this could be just the type of thing that can turn a game around if it's successful. But the flags in the background, as you can see on top of the stands, no wind blowing whatsoever. Very calm. In these cases, you want very wide zones with a lot of switching to try to confuse the thrower. But if they take enough time and be perfect, Dragon Thrust won't have a problem scoring.
Hupp fouled on the mark. It's back in, Hupp with it. To Gladen. Into the end zone. Fraun is there. Making the sky over Colthammer, the former Ironside player. Played with them at the last World Championships in Prague. Dragon Thrust one break away from advancing to the semifinals. Liam Rosen here with Brian Jones, Sky Magazine's coverage of the mixed division at the World Ultimate Club Championships. Taking a look at that replay from James Hran.
Hran gets up, shows why he's an all-AUDL Midwest Division player.
Near layout from Dragon Thrust. No strip call. Dragon Thrust can win this game here. There's going to be a call, though, on the play. It was the layout from Mike Peterson. But that just is going to go back. It will stay with Dragon. Disc checked back in for Dragon. McKean to Oakley. Back to McKean. Peterson, hammer. Over the top of the stack, David Shirley bringing it down for Dragon.
Going on a 10-3 run to end this game. Dragon Thrust deserved it all the way in the second half. After being asleep in the first half, the defense not showing up. They showed up in a big way. Robin Wiseman getting it started. Some big plays by James Hran. Austin Lean was perfect throughout. Great win for Dragon Thrust, and they get out of here relatively unscathed. You have to wonder, though, if is a soft start going to hurt them going into the semifinal round? They're going to face significantly better competition as they go through.
Mike Peterson with the hammer to end the game for Dragon Thrust. He's their oldest player at age 32. Let's take another look at the catch from David Shirley. Shirley, one of the Dragon Thrust players that has gained experience and fitness in the preseason, playing for the Minnesota Wind Chill of the American Ultimate Disc League, the semi-pro franchise out of the Twin Cities. So the players will circle it up for the Spirit Circle. Brian, I think Cambridge has to be happy with how they played in the first half. It's a story we've seen across all divisions. The first half of play, very intense, but teams just cannot hang with the Americans, the deeper roster. Cambridge actually complained before the tournament of the lack of parity in the UK. It was causing them pains because it's just impossible to play good games against other UK mixed teams. They would bring a strong squad and they would be blowing teams out 17-6, 17-9. This is why they came to Worlds, to play close games like this. They were up at 1.97 over the defending national champion. We're going to go now to an on-field interview with Dragon Thrust's Austin Lean.
Hi from the fields. Austin, your team started off a little slowly, but what happened after the halftime?
I think with the very few chances we got in the first half, the D-line was frustrated, but in a good way. So when the second half started, they knew that we were running out of time to get the defensive plays and punch it in like we needed to.
You guys have advanced to the semifinals. What does that mean?
It means that we get to keep playing together. The best part about this team is how passionately everybody plays every single point, so positively and just as hard as they can. And I'm looking forward to another day to do that.
Excellent. How have you guys enjoyed Lecco so far?
We've loved it, especially now that it's stopped raining. The weather's been beautiful. It's all we could ever ask for.
Is there anything else you want to send home, a message, a greeting, a wish?
Thank you so much to our sponsors, Acceleration and Surly. They've been helping us train really hard. Melissa Whitmer's done a great job helping a lot of us train in the off season. And of course our friends and families who are at home watching. So go USA!
Wonderful. Thank you guys for the interview and enjoy the rest of the tournament. And stay tuned for another interview with Skyd.
This program is brought to you by Skyd Magazine.
Skyd Magazine.
Skyd.
Skyd Magazine.
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 We're here with Rich Hims from Cambridge. So you've just sadly lost out that game to Dragon Thrust after being 9-7 up at half.
Yeah.
What kind of happened in the second half? What do you think maybe Dragon Thrust changed that meant you couldn't quite finish the game off?
I think they made it a little harder around our handlers, and obviously that's a big part of our offense. We pride ourselves on quick disc movement and using the whole squad, and they made it really difficult to get that initial movement. And when you're a team that likes to move the disc, if you get static, you struggle. And when they cut that out, it made life really hard for us. I think they just amped it up a little bit in the second half. We talked about playing another game, that it was 0-0 at half, and they just went out and won a different game, 8-2.
And I mean, you've now just played in a quarterfinal, and you're the highest seeded British team here. You've had a great run into this tournament. How's it feel to take that title?
Well, we were seeded 18, and we're going to get at least 8, so we've improved on it. I think I always said before the tournament that I'd be happy if one British team made it into the top 8. I would be ecstatic if 2 British teams made it into the top 8. The fact that we were ones that send the other British team out meant that this is really bittersweet now. It would have been great to get us both there. The fact that we've lost that game, that doesn't really mean a lot to us. It's gutting, but this was about 24 people who really enjoy each other's company, wanting to represent good mixed ultimate. And even if we've lost that game, I feel like we've done that. And we've proved that British teams can really compete. 9-7 at half, we needed to change up. As it was, they were the ones who changed it up first. They did something a little bit different on defense. They made us work a little harder, and that was all that mattered.
Nice. And do you want to say anything to the fans at home?
Oh, well, thank you for anyone tuning in. I mean, these guys are doing a great job on coverage. The tournament organisers and everybody else have had a hell of a lot to contend with. And if you're still enjoying this tournament, we're enjoying this tournament here. It's not been easy, and everyone's kind of gone with the flow, made life easy for one another, and that's really helpful. So thank you for being involved.
Thank you very much, Rich.
Cheers, DP.
And we'll be back tomorrow with more coverage from SkyedMagazine.com. Check the schedule for the semi-finals.
werewolf is a part of you. The werewolf is a part of you. The werewolf is a part of you. The werewolf is a part of you. No.